Scientists have just found creatures in the depths that defy everything we know about evolution, and some of them shouldn't even exist according to our current theories. Get ready, because what you're going to see in the next 20 minutes will completely change your view of what really inhabits our oceans. I'm your guide on this journey into the unknown, and today we're going to dive into literally the most disturbing and inexplicable discoveries to emerge from the depths of the ocean in recent years. We're talking about creatures that have been photographed, filmed, even captured, but that science still can't completely explain. How do they survive? Why did they evolve that way? And most importantly, what else is down there that we haven't discovered yet? Throughout this video, you will witness 10 newly discovered sea monsters that defy logic, biology, and even common sense. Each one more bizarre than the last, each raising more questions than answers, and all completely real. Oh, and the background track you're listening to comes straight from the YouTube audio library, because even the atmosphere needs to live up to these revelations. So take a deep breath, because we're about to go down where the sunlight never reaches. Number 10. We start our countdown with a creature that looks like it came straight out of a psychedelic nightmare. In 2023, an expedition in the deep Pacific captured images of a completely transparent giant jellyfish, more than 2 meters in diameter, that literally glows in patterns that change as it moves. So far, you might think, cool, bioluminescent jellyfish are nothing new. But here's the problem that's made scientists' hair stand on end. This creature's light patterns respond to sounds. That's right, sound, at the bottom of the ocean, more than 4,000 meters deep. Think about it. Jellyfish have no brain, they have no ears, they have no known sensory organ that should detect sound vibrations in that way. But when the researchers emitted different sound frequencies, the creature reacted with light patterns specific to each tone. Low frequencies generated slow pulses of blue light. High frequencies created rapid bursts of green light. And no one, absolutely no one, can explain the biological mechanism behind this. The most widely accepted theory is that she is using some type of sensory organ that has not yet been identified, something that evolved at depths where the pressure and conditions are so extreme that the normal rules of biology simply do not apply. But that's just theory. The truth, nobody knows. And what's even more disturbing is to think how many other creatures down there might have abilities we can't even imagine. But if you think a musical jellyfish is weird, just wait until number 9. Number 9. In deep waters off the coast of Norway, trawlers brought to the surface what they initially thought was a stone covered in silt. But when marine biologists took a closer look, they discovered that it was, in fact, a type of giant sea sponge that no one had ever seen before. And here begins the mystery that will give you goosebumps. This sponge, which was officially catalogued in 2024, is approximately 1.5 meters tall, is completely black, and has cavities in its body that appear to have been excavated from the inside. When scientists performed a CT scan of this creature, they found internal structures that resemble a primitive circulatory system. Sponges do not have circulatory systems. They are the simplest animals on the planet. They filter water, period. But not this one. This one has internal channels organized in such a complex way that some researchers have suggested that perhaps we are facing a form of life that represents a completely lost evolutionary link, a transition between simple sponges and more complex animals that we thought we would never find again because they became extinct millions of years ago. Other scientists completely disagree and think it's convergent evolution, a case of nature reinventing the wheel in extreme conditions. The debate continues. The samples are being studied. But for now, this deep-sea black sponge remains a biological enigma that challenges our understanding of marine evolution. And speaking of evolution that defies understanding, let's move on to number 8. Number 8. Imagine an octopus. Now imagine that this octopus has 14 tentacles instead of 8, is completely translucent white, and when threatened, does not release ink like normal octopuses, but rather a cloud of bioluminescent cells that explode with light when they come into contact with seawater. Sounds like science fiction? That's exactly what a team of deep-sea divers found in the Mariana Trench in 2022. This cephalopod, which doesn't even have an official scientific name yet, is leaving experts perplexed. First, because the basic anatomy of octopuses, squids, and cuttlefish is incredibly evolutionarily conserved. They always have 8 tentacles, or 10 in the case of squid. Finding one with 14 is like finding a dog with 6 legs. It simply shouldn't happen without there being some serious genetic mutation that would make the creature unviable. But this octopus is not only viable, but appears to be perfectly adapted to its environment. The extra tentacles aren't just appendages hanging there, they're fully functional, coordinated, and appear to give the creature an advantage in catching prey. What about the bioluminescent defense mechanism? Completely unique. No other known cephalopod does this. Regular paint works by creating a smokescreen, but cells that glow? This should, in theory, make the creature more visible to predators, not protect it. The current hypothesis is that sudden intense light temporarily blinds or confuses deep-sea predators that are adapted to total darkness. It's like throwing a flash grenade into eyes that have never seen the sun. Ingenious? Yes. Understood? Absolutely not. But if you think you've seen it all, hold on to this information, because the number 7 will leave you questioning the very definition of life. Number 7. Colonies. You know what a marine colony is, right? Like corals, where thousands of small individual organisms come together to form a larger structure. Well, in 2023, Australian researchers discovered something in Antarctic waters that is forcing science to reconsider where the individual ends and the colony begins. They found a creature, or rather a collective organism, that appears to be made up of at least 5 different species of marine animals, all fused into a single living structure. There are parts that are clearly sponge, sections that are definitely coral, areas that show characteristics of anemones, and then there are components that no one can identify. And all these different organisms are sharing the same nutrient circulation system. Let me repeat that for you to process. 5 different species of animals functioning as a single organism, sharing nutrition, operating in sync. This goes against everything we know about biology, symbiosis, and evolution. Different organisms can live in symbiosis, of course, but keep their structures separate. Here, borders literally dissolved. The most radical theory being proposed is that, under extreme conditions of low temperature and lack of nutrients at the bottom of the Southern Ocean, these organisms have developed a form of cooperation that goes beyond anything we have ever documented. They are not just working together, they have become one. And no one knows how it happened, whether it could happen again or whether there are other super colonies down there that represent even more complex mergers. Science literally doesn't have a category to classify this thing. Is it an animal? Are there 5? Is it a new type of organism that we need to create a completely new classification to describe? For now, the answer to all these questions is, we don't know. And look, we're already halfway through our list and things are going to get even stranger from here on out. If you're enjoying these discoveries that challenge everything we thought we knew about marine life, leave a like below. This helps a lot and motivates me to continue bringing more bizarre and inexplicable discoveries like these. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, take advantage now. There's plenty more fascinating content about ocean mysteries, crazy scientific discoveries, and everything that traditional science prefers to discreetly leave aside. So let's continue, because number 6 is possibly the most disturbing creature on this list. Number 6. Worms. You probably don't think much about marine worms, right? Simple creatures that live in the sand or in the depths, eating detritus. Nothing else. But in 2024, an underwater expedition near hydrothermal vents in the South Atlantic surfaced a worm that is making evolutionary biologists lose sleep. This worm measures about 30 centimeters long, has an intense red color due to the high concentration of hemoglobin in its body, and here's the part that no one can explain. It has no mouth, it has no anus, it has no digestive system of any identifiable type, but somehow it's alive, healthy, and actively reproducing. How does an animal survive without eating? The obvious answer would be bacterial symbiosis, right? There are other hydrothermal vent worms that host bacteria within the body that produce nutrients through chemosynthesis. But when scientists examined this worm in the laboratory, they found no significant symbiotic bacteria. They found no alternative nutrition mechanism. There is simply nothing there that explains how this creature is getting the energy to live. Some researchers have suggested that perhaps the worm is absorbing nutrients directly through the skin in a way that has never been observed in complex animals. Others think there may be some completely unknown metabolic process happening at a cellular level. And there are even those who speculate that perhaps we are facing a form of life that is operating with biochemistry so different from ours that our current methods of analysis simply cannot detect it. What we know for sure is that this worm is making a mockery of our theories about basic requirements of animal life, and each new analysis only deepens the mystery. But wait, because number 5 will make you question whether we really know our own planet. Number 5. Sharks. You know sharks. Efficient predators, evolved over millions of years, top of the food chain. Now, what would you say if I told you that we found a shark that apparently doesn't age? In 2023, researchers accidentally captured a shark off the coast of Greenland that, when analyzed by radiocarbon dating of its eye lens, revealed it to be approximately 512 years old. 512 years. This creature was swimming around the oceans when Shakespeare was writing his plays. And the most impressive, she is in perfect health. No signs of senility. No significant tissue deterioration. Apparently still capable of reproducing, Greenland sharks were already known to be the longest-lived vertebrates on the planet, but 500 years simply shatters all previous models. The question that is leaving geneticists fascinated is, how? How do this creature's cells avoid the wear and tear of aging? Why don't chromosomal telomeres degrade? What DNA repair mechanisms are operating that allow half a millennium of life without catastrophic failure? And most importantly, what can we learn about human longevity by studying this animal? Some preliminary research suggests that the extremely slow metabolism of these sharks, which live in freezing waters and move very slowly, may contribute to their longevity. But this does not completely explain the absence of cellular aging. There's something else going on here, something we still don't understand about the biological limits of animal life. And if you're thinking that half a millennium of life is the weirdest thing on this list, I tell you, we're not even close to the weirdest yet. By the way, while we're diving deep into these oceanic mysteries, I want to hear from you. Which of these sea monsters do you find scariest and why? Leave your answer in the comments. I love reading your theories and impressions. And who knows, maybe your comment will turn into a discussion in the next video. Number 4. Now we enter the territory of the truly alien. In 2022, a deep exploration ROV, one of those robotic underwater vehicles, captured footage of a creature floating at a depth of 7,000 meters that to this day has not been classified into any known animal phylum. It simply doesn't fit into any existing category. The creature appears to be made of a semi-transparent gelatinous substance, has no recognizable bilateral or radial symmetry, appears to change shape constantly, and most disturbing of all, it has no visible nervous, circulatory, or digestive system, but clearly responds to environmental stimuli. As the ROV approached, the thing, and I call it a thing because we literally have no better word, contracted and then expanded again, suggesting some kind of perception and response. Biologists who analyze the hours of footage are genuinely confused. Some think it could be an extremely primitive life form, perhaps something that evolved separately from all other animals billions of years ago and remained hidden in the depths. Others suggest that it may be a life stage of some already known organism, a larval or reproductive phase of something larger that we have simply never seen before. But here's the problem. Attempts to capture specimens of this creature have failed. It disintegrates when exposed to changes in pressure. The few tissue samples they managed to collect liquefied before reaching the surface. So all we have is footage of something that exists, that is clearly alive, but that we can't adequately study with current technology. It's like having proof of alien life but being unable to do any meaningful analysis. Frustrating? Immensely. Fascinating? Absolutely. And number 3 will make you completely rethink the concept of convergent evolution. Number 3. Imagine a creature that looks exactly, and when I say exactly, I mean structure for structure, like a dolphin. Hydrodynamic shape, fins, tail, even the swimming pattern. But it's not a dolphin. It's not even a mammal. It is a giant bony fish discovered in deep waters off New Zealand in 2023 that evolved to be a perfect lookalike of dolphins, but completely independently. Convergent evolution is nothing new. We know that similar environments generate similar solutions. That's why sharks and dolphins have similar shapes, despite being completely different. But these fish don't just look superficially like dolphins. When scientists did MRI scans and detailed anatomical studies, they discovered that it had developed internal structures that serve nearly identical functions to marine mammal organs. It has a similar structure to the melon, that organ that dolphins use for echolocation, except that it is made of completely different tissues. There is something that works like adapted lungs, but they are modifications of the swim bladder. Even the brain shows expanded areas that correspond to the complex sensory processing regions we see in intelligent cetaceans. The question that is perplexing evolutionary biologists is, why is this convergence so precise? Convergent evolution usually results in similar solutions, but not nearly exact copies. It's as if this fish followed exactly the same evolutionary instruction manual as marine mammals, but using completely different parts. And no one can explain why nature repeated the project so faithfully. Some scientists are suggesting that perhaps there are such strong physical and environmental constraints on the marine environment that there are literally only a few viable solutions for certain ecological niches. Others think we are dramatically underestimating how deterministic evolution can be when selective pressures are specific enough. Whatever the answer, this fish is showing us that life can be a lot more predictable or a lot stranger than we thought. And speaking of weird, number 2 will challenge your very definition of what is biologically possible. Number 2, crabs. Everyone knows crabs. Creatures with a hard exoskeleton, 10 legs, eyes on stalks. Basic. But in 2024, researchers off the coast of Japan discovered a crab that literally should not be able to exist according to the laws of physics and biology as we know it. This crab, which is approximately 6 inches in diameter, lives at depths where water pressure is so extreme that it should crush any limestone exoskeleton. We're talking pressures in excess of 1,000 atmospheres, the kind of force that turns metal into paste. But this crab not only survives there, it has an exoskeleton that is somehow both incredibly strong and surprisingly flexible. When materials engineers analyzed samples of the exoskeleton, they discovered a molecular structure they had never seen in biological material. It is a matrix of mineral crystals intertwined with protein fibers in an architecture so complex that nanotechnology laboratories are trying to replicate it to create new industrial materials. But here's the truly inexplicable part. This exoskeleton responds dynamically to pressure. When pressure increases, the structure reorganizes itself in real time to better distribute the force. When the pressure decreases, it returns to the original setting. It's as if the crab had biological liquid armor decades before science fiction imagined the concept. And no one, absolutely no one, can explain how an evolutionary process could have developed this. The engineering required is so sophisticated that some researchers half joke but half seriously too that it looks like intelligent design. Except it isn't. It's pure evolution. Somehow, through trial and error over millions of years, nature created a material that our best engineers cannot completely replicate. And this discovery is generating patents, investments in biomaterials research, and a complete re-evaluation of what we thought was possible in terms of biological structures under extreme conditions. Before we get to number 1, which is honestly so bizarre you'll think I'm making it up, let me make a sincere request. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the latest oceanic mysteries, consider becoming a member of the channel or making a contribution at Valeur de Mai with whatever amount you can. Every support directly helps fund more in-depth research like this and allows me to dedicate more time to bringing you quality content about science and discoveries that don't typically get the attention they deserve. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much to everyone who has already supported you. You make this possible. And now, yes, let's go to number 1. The most baffling, most challenging, most absolutely inexplicable discovery on this list. Number 1. Prepared? In 2023, a joint expedition between several nations found in the Hadal zone of the Pacific Ocean, that deepest part that exists, a creature that is literally rewriting the tree of life. Scientists have temporarily catalogued it as a new phylum, a taxonomic category so fundamental that adding a new one means finding a completely separate branch of life that split billions of years ago. The creature superficially resembles a starfish, but has 24 arms instead of the traditional 5 or multiples of 5. Each arm contains not only an independent nervous system, as would be normal, but distinct brains. 24 separate brains operating in a single body. And here's the part that made geneticists literally recalculate everything they thought they knew about animal evolution. When they did genetic sequencing, they discovered that this creature doesn't share the fundamental genes that every other animal on Earth does. All animals, from sponges to humans, share certain master genes that control bodily development. They are so old and fundamental that we call them Hox genes, and they are present in practically everything we classify as animals, except for this creature. She has a completely different set of developmental regulatory genes. It means that either it evolved this system independently, which would be extraordinarily unlikely, or it represents an evolutionary lineage that split off so early in the history of life that it developed a completely alternative developmental biology. The implications of this are staggering. It means that in the deep ocean, there may exist an entire kingdom of organisms operating with biochemistry and cellular processes fundamentally different from those we study. We're talking about life that is technically terrestrial, shares the same planet as us, but is on a fundamental level almost as alien as life we might find on another world. And before you ask, yes, the findings have been peer-reviewed. Yes, multiple independent laboratories confirmed the results. And yes, this is causing massive debate in the scientific community about how to classify this thing and what it means for our understanding of the very origin of animal life on Earth. Some researchers believe that this creature may be the living representative of a lineage that all other members became extinct hundreds of millions of years ago. A true living fossil, but not in the sense of being primitive, but in the sense of being the last survivor of an ancient evolutionary explosion that took a completely different path from the rest of animal life. So there you have it. 10 newly discovered creatures that are making science question fundamental assumptions about life, evolution, and the limits of what is biologically possible. From jellyfish that hear sounds, to crabs with impossible armor. From worms that live without eating, to creatures that may represent entirely new branches of the tree of life. And the really scary part of all this? We have explored less than 5% of Earth's oceans. 5%. 95% of the seabed remains completely unexplored. How many other creatures are there down there that would make even these 10 seem normal? How many mysteries still await in the deepest trenches, in the abyssal plains, in the underwater mountain ranges that we have never seen? The truth is that our planet is still largely a mystery. We don't need to go to Mars to find the unknown. It's right here in the depths that cover 2/3 of the Earth's surface, waiting for explorers brave enough and technology advanced enough to reveal its secrets. In the next video, I will bring you the most controversial theories about what could really exist in the deepest parts of the oceans, including those that the mainstream scientific community prefers to ignore. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Until the next exploration into the frontiers of human knowledge,